Let's start with grading the 2022-23 Raptors. So, just to tee it up, the Raptors through 28 games, very similar to last season if you're just looking at the peripherals, they were also 13 and 15 last season at this point,
Mhm.
and they have the 15th ranked offense in the league, which they finished with last season. They're 11th on defense at the moment. Last season they finished ninth. This year they're 28th in three-point percentage. Last year they were 20th. So just looking at those big picture numbers, very similar, but I do feel like the vibe and mood of the team and how, people are looking at this Raptors team is very different. And I guess the simple answer, James, is that, expectations change from year to year.
Yeah, I mean, they were supposed to build on last season. They were supposed to have internal development. I think there was a lot of reason for optimism coming into the season. And even after the season started, people were pretty optimistic about the Raptors. I was personally like up until a couple of weeks ago, I guess, like basically before Pascal Siakam came back, like I was willing to write off any struggles they had to like, okay, they're not completely healthy. And I was pretty optimistic about like what I saw early in the season, particularly from Pascal Siakam, who is still just sort of the shining star of this Raptor season so far. But as a team, I think it has been underwhelming on the whole. It has been weird. It has been a lot weirder than just what the record and the numbers sort of indicate, right? Like they're the 29th team in terms of half court offense. They have been
Oh wow.
bad
We moved
on.
out we moved out of 30th?
Yeah, I think there's I can't remember who is 30th, but yeah, the Raptors are not 30th.
That's a
They're
win.
26th in 3-point frequency.
Mm.
They're shooting 26.5% on pull-up threes, which is the second worst in the league, which I can't even believe the Spurs number was like 20.5%, which is just disgusting. But I mean, there have been some offensive positives too. I mean, they're getting to the line more than last year. They're getting to the rim a bit more than last year. They never turn the ball over. There's like slightly worse in terms of offensive rebounding compared to last year, but still an elite offensive rebounding team. They're absolutely incredible in transition, like the best transition offense in the league. It's just, I think if it were only us talking about their style and how interesting it was, and they were average on offense, and that was the whole story, be like, okay, like this is how they built the team. But you've just seen some regression in terms of how committed they seem to that style, how well they're executing that style lately. The defense has slipped, and I think the ceiling is much higher there. And it's like watching them, like the vibes, as you said, have been weird. Just the sort of the effort in some games in particular has been bad, and that's been directly called out by both Nick Nurse and several players on the roster. I think you still have to kind of mention the caveats when you're talking about all of this stuff. Like health has been a big issue, both in terms of their frontline guys and just like role players that were supposed to tie the room together. They haven't had the team exactly that they thought they'd have. Precious Achua, we were talking about, is like, is he going to be a most improved player candidate coming into the year? And we've barely seen him. So I think there's a lot of room for growth, but they're not exactly trending in the right direction after what we've seen in the past few games.
Yeah, I think the one thing you pointed out too, just about like the room for growth when people are looking at this team and the overall roster construction, and it's been such a talking point, especially recently as they're going through this slump right now. And I think that really is a big question. And the way we're gonna do the grades today, we're not gonna do the letter grades. I think we've agreed that for every topic, the team, the players, the front office, we're gonna either say that they've met expectations or they've underperformed or overperformed. And I assume you're in agreement with me here when we're talking about just the overall team at this point in the season that they're clearly underperforming.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they'd have a better record than this, and I'm more just surprised at how awkward everything kind of feels for them. Like they feel kind of stuck in a weird place right now, and that's more what I'm kind of judging this on rather than strictly like their point differential in the record.
Yeah, and if you're looking at, we called out all these stats and we talked about the vibe of the team and all of that stuff. When you look at all that stuff, like what is the one thing that you would say concerns you the most if you were looking at this team moving forward?
I think the defensive kind of like the slippage that we've seen lately, and also the way, like just anecdotally, like the way that they've been talking about it, like Um, I was at the Brooklyn game where afterward Nick Nurse is just talking about how they just flat weren't executing the defensive scheme right. Like they wanted to blitz Kevin Durant and they weren't in the right places. They weren't the guy who was blitzing wasn't in the right spot, and then the guy who was supposed to be rotating afterward wasn't there fast enough. And that is like just scheme execution that a team like this was like pretty good at last year. And when they did make a mistake, they were really good at covering that up with just that sort of effort. And then you've heard effort issues like after the Pelicans game, after the Brooklyn game, and then after this Kings loss the other night, hearing Van Vliet and Nurse talk about, just letting guys get by them at the point of attack, getting easy rim touches. Like you're not supposed to be able to do that against the Raptors. Like you're not. And that kind of stuff is what is kind of getting to me more than like, yeah, the 3-point shots are not falling, which is like obviously a huge problem. And if you're talking about like the construction of the roster, then you start with the shooting. But if you're talking about what like the other stuff and what I'm concerned about, it's that. It's them not looking like the Raptors all the time. It's been inconsistent in that respect over the past little while.